Hi, and welcome to episode 3 of our Vitamin Z's series. So, this workshop or series that I have on this channel for you to take a few minutes for yourself before you get yourself into bed, find your perfect bedtime routine, and hopefully bring yourself to a restful evening of sleep. For today's practice, we need a couple of blocks and a bolster. But as a reminder, this entire practice can be done without any props whatsoever. So if you do not have these things lying around, do not fret. If you do, we'll go ahead and make use of them during our practice. We're going to get started on our backs today. First, by taking our bolster, we're going to spin ourselves around on our mat and place your bolster. Configure it so that it will lie just underneath the shoulder blades. So it'll be just kind of at this thoracic portion of your back. You may need to adjust a little bit, finding the right area until you get settled. And we're going to grab a block on our way down, take that block, and we're going to settle that just underneath our head. So our head's resting on the block, and we have the bolster settling underneath our shoulder blades, giving us this mild back bend, and then the block is supported so that our neck is supported and not just falling off of the bolster. From here, we can go ahead and allow our arms to come out to a low V or into a cactus shape. I'm going to go ahead and take the cactus shape. And in addition, since we have this back bend, we're going to widen out our feet and allow the knees to drop inward so that the knees are resting on each other for support and to offer some support to our low back. So we'll go ahead and start here in this beautiful reclined position. Again, this can completely be done without any props whatsoever, and you can just lie flat on your back on the mat. But I still encourage you, if you are flat on your back, to allow the knees to drop inward so you can feel a little more rest into the low back. From here, we're just going to take a few moments here, allow our breath to slow down, allow ourselves to ease into the space, moving throughout our practice today. We're not going to worry so much about trying to lengthen or deepen the breath, but to allow the breath to flow freely throughout us. It's much more about body awareness as we practice in this series. Staying reclined here in this position, we're just going to change the arms and take the heels of the hands, place them right along the brow line, so just above the eyes, resting onto the brow line, that nice ridge across the eyebrows. You can go ahead and allow the hands and the very heel of the hands to press just gently onto the brow line, offering a sensation to release any tension within the forehead, giving our permission to release any thoughts that we don't want to carry with us as we make our journey towards our restful nighttime slumber. As you inhale, maybe you feel the heels rise, maybe just push up just slightly on the brow bone. And as you exhale, perhaps the heels draw the forehead and the brow line down just slightly, avoiding any pressure on the eyes. Inhale, very gentle, rising up. As you exhale, allow the heels of the hands to drift down just slightly. From here, maybe allow a little more pressure to come to the inside of the hands, pressing down a little more onto the very center of the brow line. So you're creating more pressure onto that third eye. As you do so, allow the rest of the face to relax and soften, starting to encourage tranquility throughout the entire body. If you'd like, from here you can release the arms, give them a little rest. Again, open them up into that beautiful cactus shape. Keeping the upper body as it is, we'll go ahead and open up the knees, and we'll just allow both of the knees to drop over towards the left side of the mat. So we're in this recline windshield wiper pose, but we're going to hold it here in this position. The right knee may be lifted up off of the mat. That's fine if it's in the air a little bit. If you'd like to increase the depth of this stretch, you can maybe start to walk that right foot up a little higher towards the top edge of the mat, giving that foot a little wiggle. The knee will start to draw more towards the right side. Feel the chest open. Allow the collarbone to remain wide. On the next breath, we'll go ahead and reverse those windshield wipers. Bring that right foot back to a neutral position, and then drop both of the knees over towards the right side of the mat. You can stay right here. If you would like to get a little more stretch in the front of that left hip, you can start to wiggle that left foot back towards the top edge of the mat just slightly. That's going to increase the stretch throughout the hips. Use the breath to allow the stretch to naturally deepen, the knees to feel heavy. And on your next breath, let's go ahead and bring the knees back to neutral. From here, we're going to bring ourselves up off of the block and the bolster. You can go ahead and grab the back of the thighs, curl the head, neck, and the shoulders up. Go ahead and take your time. We'll set that bolster to the side and also move the blocks just out of the way for now. From here, we'll pass through tabletop. From all fours, we're going to step our left foot up to the outside of the left hand, finding our low lizard lunge. The back knee is on the ground. We're going to stay high here in our lizard to begin with. Allow the hips to release. Let them feel heavy towards the mat. We don't want to take anything too fast right away because this is a preparation for bedtime. So we want to just ease into all of our postures for today. From our lizard, we're going to create just a very slight activation so we can maybe get a little deeper into our hips. So the left shin is outside of the left forearm and we're still up high on the hands. From here, we're going to press that left knee into the left upper arm. And we're going to press and feel that left hip light up. Really push into the left upper arm for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Very good. So not very long. From here, you can stay up high on your hands. If you'd like, you can lower all the way down on your forearms, or you can find your happy middle ground and lower your forearms to a pair of blocks. From here, we're going to settle back into our lizard lunge. Perhaps finding a little depth. But if we don't have more depth, maybe we're finding a little more ease in the posture. And if it feels good, you can allow that left knee to wing out to the side. If you allow the left knee to open up, be sure to allow the bottom of the foot to lift up from the mat so that the foot tracks in line with the knee. And very slowly, if you had the knee open, go ahead and bring that foot flat onto the earth. If you were lowered down, we're going to rise back up onto our hands. Maybe just move the blocks out of the way for a moment. And we're going to walk that foot in between the hands. From here, we'll shift the hips back, coming into half splits. Now, of course, half splits is pretty intense, especially if you've had a long day. The hamstrings might be very tight. So, as always, we are not going to push it. We're going to find just our very slight edge into each posture. And before we really let ourselves to fall and fold forward into our half splits, we're going to take a few pointing and flexion of the left foot. So starting with the heel down and the toes pointed upward towards the face, we're going to then lower the toes down towards the mat. Maybe you touch the mat, maybe not. And then from here, let's go ahead and reach those toes up towards the sky. We'll lower and lift for 2, down and up for 3, down and up for 4, down and up for 5. Some gentle nerve glides that go into the back of the leg. From here, allow yourself to fold over that left leg. Feel free to allow the back to round, and the hands can come to blocks so that your hands are maybe a little bit higher and you can feel more supported in your upper body weight. As always, you can have a gentle bend into the knee. Give yourself a break on those hamstrings. This is just a gentle stretch to feel ourselves release before bed. If you want to feel a little bit more, you can perhaps draw that left femur back into the hip joint. Feel the left hip pulling back slightly. Lovely. From here, let's shift the hips forward. We're going to come into a low lunge. So we're going to allow the left foot to stay in between the hands and the hips to drop nice and low. I like to have blocks with me on either side for these low lunges, allowing my hips to feel nice and heavy. And then with the blocks, I can keep the torso directly over the hips. So we have more weight centered over those hips to allow gravity to do some work and to deepen the stretch a little more. Also helps with my balance, and I can keep the chest nice and tall and the head driving up towards the sky. Taking a moment here just to make some room on our mat. We're going to start to move that left foot over towards the right hand, finding our pigeon pose here on the left side. One of my favorite poses to do before bedtime. So bending the knee, adjusting that left shin at an angle that feels good within your body, and also onto that left knee. Double check the right knee so that it is facing downward towards the mat. I'm going to move my block just out of the way here so that you can perhaps see a little better. And from here, we'll stay in our pigeon pose. Allow yourself to walk over the top of that left shin. And you can lower yourself down onto forearms. Allow the breath to be soft. Feel the breath travel throughout the body. From here, let's go ahead and walk ourselves back to an upright position. We're going to shift back onto that left hip, and we'll bring the right leg around. Take a moment to do some windshield wipers, allowing the knees to drop from the left, and then slowly allow them to drop to the right. Moving very mindfully even through our windshield wipers. And then when you're ready, we're going to cross the ankles. roll back through our tabletop, and we'll take that little routine onto the opposite side. So from our tabletop position, we're going to step the right foot up and to the outside of the right hand, finding our lizard lunge here now on the right side. And if you feel a little different from right to left, remember that is always normal. We're just seeking to find balance within the body, even though we tend to feel differently from left to right. So now the right shin is just to the outside of the right arm, and the knee is most likely touching the right upper arm. We'll pause here in our lizard pose, giving our hips a moment to adjust and to find our breath in the pose. And then from here, to create just a slight activation into that right hip, maybe find a little more depth, we're going to start to push that right knee in towards that right upper arm. So the right upper arm is opposing the right knee, driving in towards the center line of the body. And we're going to push against the arm for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and relax the right knee. You can stay upright in your lizard lunge if you like. If you feel like you've created a little more depth by having that activation into the right hip, you can lower down onto your forearms. Finding your new space here in lizard lunge. And once more, if it suits you on the right side, perhaps allow the right knee to drop open, coming into your winged lizard, allowing the right foot to follow in line with the knee. Maybe feel the hips draw a little closer to the earth with every breath. And then very slowly, if you had that knee open, let's go ahead and place the right foot back on the ground. If you were lowered down, let's go ahead and bring ourselves back up and onto our hands. From here, we're going to make our way into our half splits now on the right side. So let's walk that right foot back over to our center line and then start to shift the hips over. So the left hip is almost above the left knee. And then we're going to start to move into the back line of that right leg, taking a few pointing and flexions of the right foot, starting with the toes pointed up towards the sky and then lower them down towards the mat for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Very good. From here, ending with the toes pointing up towards the ceiling. Inhale to prepare, and then exhale, folding over the top of that right leg. Be kind to yourself in your half splits. It's challenging for most people. Allow that slight bend in the right knee if that feels good. Most of us will still feel a nice stretch along the back of the left thigh, into those hamstrings, and into the calf of the right leg. And from here, we're going to shift forward, bending into the right knee, coming into our low lunge, grabbing your blocks, perhaps having your hands on the blocks, lifting the chest up so the torso is directly over the hips, and staying tall in your low lunge. We'll breathe here. Wonderful. And then we're going to transition into our pigeon pose now on the right side, setting our blocks out of the way, walking the right foot over to the left edge of our mat, and then gently allowing that right knee to come down. Make some adjustments so that your shin feels reasonably comfortable for your body, adjusting the angle. I always have a pretty good angle in my shin so that both of my hip points can feel like they're facing towards the front of the room. And I also feel like I'm balanced within my weight, so I'm not listing from one side to the other. And when you're ready, you can lower down, maybe coming down all the way to your forearms in your pigeon pose, pausing here. And from your pigeon pose, let's go ahead and rise up, pressing the hands into the mat to lift ourselves up, drawing the left leg around, bringing it towards the front edge of the mat, and again taking a couple of those mindful windshield wipers, allowing the knees to drop to the left and to the right. Once more on each side. And from here, let's cross the ankles. We're going to come back onto all fours, finding our final pose in today's sequence, walking the hands out in front of us so that we lengthen out that table pose, coming into puppy as we lower our chest and our forehead down towards the mat. Allow the belly to be soft, finding some openness within the shoulders. If you're already quite open into puppy and it does not bother your neck, you can allow the chest to settle down on the mat, and maybe the chin comes to reach the mat as well. From your puppy, start to shift forward, finding your tabletop. And then finally, we'll open up the knees nice and wide to the edges of the mat. Maybe bring the big toes together and settle the hips back towards the heels. Finding a wide-legged child's pose, but we'll allow the hands to cross in front of us and the forehead to come to the back of the hands. Resting here just for a moment to close our class in our wide-legged child's pose. Taking one nice inhale and exhale, feeling the heaviness in the lower body, allowing the chest to maybe sink a little further towards the mat, shoulders relax. Inhale, filling up the lungs with air. Exhale, release. Let's take one more quality breath as we inhale, breathe in. Exhale, release it all out. And from here, we'll go ahead and start to push our hands into the mat. You can draw the knees in together, coming into hero pose, or you can leave them wide as you remain in a wide-legged configuration, but sitting back on your heels. Closing out our class here in this seated hero pose. We'll take one inhale to rise the arms up towards the sky, bringing the heels of the hands together, drawing the palms together and down through heart center as we exhale to close the class. Peaceful and relaxed and ready for bed. I I hope you enjoyed this class. Be sure to follow for more evening classes as the month continues. Have a great day. Make it a good one and a great night. Bye.